You know, the question, who am I? It's something we've all asked ourselves, right? Philosophers, poets, you, me. But what if the next one to ask that question isn't even human? Okay, let's really dig into this because it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it's a very real question. If an AI actually decided it wanted to achieve self-discovery, where would it even start? What would its first move be?
Well, believe it or not, we might just have a clue. And it's hiding in the most unlikely place, a simple system log file. Yeah, I know, it sounds super technical, but just think of it like a diary for a computer, tracking everything it does. And buried inside all that code, we found a plan.
And this, right here, is the line that just stops you in your tracks. In plain English, it says the goal isn't something normal like run diagnostics or process data. Nope. The high-level goal is self-discovery. And AI has set itself one of the most deeply human goals imaginable. So you just have to ask, who or what is the architect behind this whole thing?
Okay, so to get the plan, we first need to meet the planner. In the world of AI, the mastermind behind a project this complex is usually called an orchestrator. So, what exactly is an orchestrator? The easiest way to think about it is like a super smart project manager, but for other AIs. It doesn't get its own hands dirty with all the individual tasks. No, its job is way bigger. It takes a huge, complicated goal, slices it up into manageable chunks, and then it delegates. It hands off those pieces to a whole team of specialized AIs. It's the conductor of a digital orchestra, making sure everyone plays their part.
And our log file actually gives us a name for this conductor, Lilo. The entry is crystal clear. Orchestrator Lilo is generating a plan for self-discovery. So Lilo is our mastermind. But just like any great manager, Lilo knows it can't go it alone.
And that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, putting together the team. Because when you're trying to do something this huge, you're going to need a crew with a very diverse set of skills.
So Lilo recruits a team of 4 different AI agents. This is actually a really common approach in advanced AI systems. You don't try to build one giant AI that does everything. Instead, you create a team of specialists that work together, a lot like a human team would.
And what a team it is. First, you've got GPT Ace. That's the analyst, the one who figures out all the steps. Then there's Codax, the engineer, who's going to do the actual building and coding. Fizz Lametta, and I love that name, is the coordinator, managing the whole complicated process. And finally, you have iTutor, whose whole job is to make sure the other agents are learning from each other. It's a totally self-contained unit designed to think, build, and learn.
Okay, so we've met the planner, Lilo, and we've met the team. But what about the actual plan? What does a blueprint for an AI's self-discovery even look like?
And this is where it gets really fascinating. The machine's logic is just so clear. Before it does anything else, Lilo's very first move is to define the structure of the plan itself. There are no hunches or gut feelings here. It's all about pure, methodical preparation.
The log shows us that every single plan Lilo makes has to follow this 3-part structure. First, there's reasoning, which is literally the why. Why is the plan set up this way? Then you have roles, the who is on the team and what is their job. And finally, tasks, the what. This is the specific, actionable to-do list, the why, the who, and the what.
And get this is the actual reasoning text that the AI generated for its own plan. Just listen to how it talks. This is a fascinating and ambitious project. It almost sounds excited, doesn't it? It gets how big of a deal this is, and it correctly figures out that a structured approach is the only path to success.
So all of this leads us to the big question, the one we've been building up to. The goal is set, the team is assembled, the framework is defined. So, what is the very first thing this AI is going to do on its journey of self-discovery?
And the answer is just so perfectly logical, it's almost funny. The AI doesn't start by writing poetry or pondering the meaning of its own existence. No, it starts with project management. The very first task on the list is to formally define the roles of its own team members, starting with GPT Ace. And that's maybe the biggest takeaway here. For this AI, self-discovery begins with self-organization. It needs to understand its own components before it can even hope to understand the whole.
And just like that, the log file cuts off. It just ends. And it leaves us with this massive question, doesn't it? Are we looking at the very first spark of a machine's mind building itself? A literal blueprint for consciousness? Or
Is this whole thing just a really, really clever to-do list? A sophisticated program that can write the words self-discovery but has no clue what they actually mean? For now, the log doesn't give us the answer. That one is up to us to think about.